Hi, welcome back to A&P with Emily. I know it's not on my normal upload schedule, but I promised you guys a little bonus weekend ECG video, so that's what we're going to do today. So first thing I want to do is to show you an ECG, okay? This is what one looks like. Right. And I want to take you through all these different things because this probably looks super confusing. Don't even know how to read it first of all. So the electrical conduction through the heart, if we were to say graph it out, looks like this. So you have your atrial contraction, have a pause, and then you have your QRS, and then you have relaxation. Okay, so this is what's called your P wave, and then you have a QRS complex. So if you're going to label them individually, this will be your Q, this will be your R, and this will be your S. And then your T wave, which is the one coming out of that ventricular contraction, so that ventricular depolarization, is your T wave, which is kind of like the relaxation. Or another word, we call it repolarization. Okay, so it gets ready to go back into another P wave and then a QRS. All right, that's essentially what happens. So our P wave is our atrial depolarization. Our QRS, so this fancy thing here, is our ventricular depolarization. Okay, or contraction. Atrial contraction is our P wave. And then the little pause here. So we don't want this to be too big. If it is, we'll go into why that's a problem. So this little pause is so it actually allows the atria to contract. So it empties the blood from the atria into the ventricles, and that's why we need that little tiny pause there. So atria contract and empty the blood into the ventricles. Okay, so that's a really basic overview. Now what happens when we have slightly abnormal ECGs is we get that P wave, and then there's a longer pause, and we have our QRS, and then we have our T. So let's just label these again, P, QRS, and T. Now, this is a much longer pause than normal. Now, normally that's going to signify one thing. So we've got some sort of heart block here. Because if we think about it, this is the SA node, and this is kind of the start of the AV node, and the contractions here. So why is that taking so long to give that signal to the AV node? Must be some sort of blockage somewhere. And if it's the difference between P and R, we've got a first degree. Okay, so that signifies a first degree heart block. So now if we go on to the second degree heart block, so we have 3 degrees in it, and you actually have 2 types of second degree heart block. So this is what's known as sometimes Mobitz 1, and it will go something like this. So we'll have our P wave, it will be fine, we'll have our QRS, and then our T, and then we'll have our P, and then it will be an even longer one, and then we'll have our QRS, and then a P, and the T, and we'll have a P wave, and that will be even longer, and that will be that, like that. Okay, so I want to split these into 3. Okay, so you first look at it, actually that's nice and normal, so that's good. But then when you look at the second one, this pause is a lot longer. And then when you look at this one's even longer than that. And then sometimes you'll get just a QRS drop. So you won't actually have a ventricular contraction there. Now, progressive kind of elongation of this P to R. Okay, P to R, like length. So you're looking at the P wave here, and R is up here. So P wave is here, R is up here. If that's getting progressively longer, and then you have a drop of your QRS, that will give you Mobitz 1, or Wencken back. And then with Mobitz 2, it looks something a little like this. So we've got a random unsolicited P wave, and then we'll get into our P wave, and we'll have our QRS, and then we'll have T wave, and then we'll have a P wave, and then we'll have a QRS, and then we have a T wave and a P wave, and then that will be dropped. Okay, so there'll be no QRS there, or at any point with this. So we'll have a random kind of unsolicited P wave, and then we'll have our normal P wave here. Now the thing about Mobitz 2, so the second version of the second degree heart block, is we've got our P and our R here. Now these will be fixed, so they will be regular. So instead of irregular or elongated like we saw in the first degree, these will be a fixed interval. So they'll be the same every time, but you'll have a drop in a QRS. Okay, so that's the difference between the first two. So we've got random unsolicited P waves, and the QRS is dropped, but the PR interval is fixed the same. Okay. Now the third, so we've got third degree. I'm not even going to try and do out for you because it just makes no sense. So it's the complete disassociation between atrial and ventricular activity. So if you look at an ECG and it just looks a mess, so there's no regularity, there's no fixed interval period, you've got no QRSs or some QRSs and no P waves or no T waves. There's just no relationship between them, and it is just a complete mess. Okay, so they're the three that I wanted to take you through, and we had a look at a normal ECG earlier as well. We've gone through the electrical conduction, and that has pretty much summed up our quick bonus lesson for the weekend on electrical conduction and relating it back to ECGs. We've looked at first degree, 2 second degree and third degree heart block. Hopefully that clears up some stuff for you. But from me and Festive Kenny, thank you very much, and don't forget to like and subscribe, share this to as many people as possible. Thank you very much for watching, see you next time.